Apple just paid Google $1 billion a year, not to compete with them, to fix Siri, the most privacy-focused company in tech, the one that runs ads saying what happens on your iPhone stays on your iPhone, just handed its most personal feature to its biggest competitor. And here's the thing, it's already on your phone. 1.5 billion iPhones, updated automatically. So why would Apple, of all companies, need Google to make Siri work? Here's what happened. At WWDC in May 2026, Apple announced something they'd never done before. They're rebuilding Siri using Google's Gemini AI. That's Google's most advanced language model, the same technology behind Google's chatbot. For years, Siri has been embarrassing. You'd ask it something simple, and it would say, "Here's what I found on the web." Meanwhile, ChatGPT and Google Assistant were having actual conversations. Apple tried to fix it themselves. They really did. But building a world-class AI from scratch takes years and billions in computing power. Apple had the money. What they didn't have was time. Their users were leaving Siri for ChatGPT. So Apple made a call to the last company anyone expected. So what can the new Siri actually do? Think of old Siri like a very literal assistant. You'd say, set a timer for 10 minutes, and it would set a timer. Great, but ask it, what should I make for dinner with what's in my fridge? And it would just search the web. New Siri, powered by Gemini, can actually think through problems. It understands context. You can say, remind me about that restaurant my sister mentioned last week, and it will actually dig through your messages to find it. That's not a simple keyword search. That's understanding what you meant. Here's where it gets interesting. The new Siri can work across your apps. You can say, take that photo I just took and send it to mom with a birthday message. One sentence. Old Siri? That would have been 3 separate commands. Open photos, share, open messages, type. New Siri chains actions together. It's like the difference between giving someone turn-by-turn directions and just telling them where you want to go. Apple calls this agentic AI, which just means AI that can take multiple steps to complete a task. You give it a goal, it figures out the steps. But here's where people get nervous. Privacy. Apple has built its entire brand on keeping your data on your device. What happens on your iPhone stays on your iPhone. That was the pitch. So how can they send your requests to Google's servers and still claim they're private? The answer is something called on-device processing. Most of what Siri does, basic commands, simple questions, still happens entirely on your iPhone. Your phone doesn't call home to Google for every little thing. Only complex requests get sent out, and when they do, Apple built something clever. When your request does need Google's AI, it goes through a system Apple calls private cloud compute. Here's how it works. Your request gets encrypted, scrambled into code, before it ever leaves your phone. It goes to special Apple servers. Those servers strip out anything that could identify you. Then, and only then, does it go to Google's Gemini. Google never sees your name, your phone number, your Apple ID. They just see an anonymous question. It's like sending a letter through a friend who removes your return address before forwarding it. Google reads the letter, answers the question, but they never know who asked. At least, that's how Apple says it works. So what's actually changing in your daily life? The stuff you'll notice first, asking Siri follow-up questions. Before, every question was a fresh start. Now you can say, what's the weather tomorrow? Then, what about Saturday? And Siri remembers you're talking about weather. You'll notice it in emails. You can say, write a reply to that email from my boss. Apologize for missing the meeting and suggest rescheduling. Siri will draft it. You approve it. Done. And photos. You can search your library by describing what's in the picture. Find that photo of the dog at the beach from last summer. This wasn't possible before. But there's one thing you should know. Here's the honest catch. None of this has been independently verified. Apple says your data is private. Google says they can't see who you are. But we're trusting 2 of the biggest data companies in the world, and we can't look inside to check. Security researchers haven't fully audited the system yet. We don't know what happens if there's a bug, or a court order, or if the terms change in 2 years. This isn't a reason to panic, but it is a reason to pay attention. Apple made a trade-off. Better AI for more trust in their systems. Whether that's worth it is up to you. So here's what this actually means for you. If you have an iPhone, Siri is about to get dramatically better, and you didn't have to do anything. It's already there. You can talk to it like a person now, not like a command line. But you're also trusting Apple and Google more than you did yesterday. That's the trade. For most people, this is fine. Convenient, even. You probably already use Google Search, Google Maps, Gmail. This isn't new data exposure, it's new data routes. But if you're someone who chose Apple specifically because you didn't trust Google, this is worth thinking about. The most privacy-focused company in tech just decided that Google's AI was worth the partnership. That tells you something about where the industry is heading, and where your data might follow.